You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. And I'm not sure why Tamara's got a dark screen on her thing there, but she is. All right, we're live here. Are you there, Tamara?
I can hear everything. I'm going to go out and come back. I'll be right back.
Okay, all right. Sounds good. Well, hey, what happens? That's what happens when you do things live. Sometimes bloopers just happen, and you just got to live with it and just keep on going. And while Tamara gets that straightened out, she's just left the studio, and she'll pop back in, and everything usually is straightened out after that. Our guest tonight is a patient advocate, and somebody who just loves educating people about cannabis. And you guys are going to really enjoy this. And I know here on the Pace Radio Network and the Pace Radio Show, we love sharing people's cannabis stories because we believe that those stories are held to help educate other people out there. They're always saying, oh, there's not enough evidence. But when people speak up, they start to listen. And I always felt that a lot of that happened when the children, when mothers and parents started speaking up about their sons and their daughters, the benefits in cannabis and seizures and that. I think a lot of the world started to open their eyes and seeing that cannabis is a medicine. Right, Tamara?
Yes. Whatever you said, yes. I don't know what's going on with, the internet or my computer, but yeah. But anyways, I'm back. Hi.
You're back. Hey, that happened.
Anyways, yeah, not the usual opening. But.
Correct.
Yep.
Now, just before the show, we were talking about Legacy 420, and I was down there today, and yes. I was talking to them, and they said to let everybody know that Cannabis Day is coming up this weekend. Right? Is it not Saturday? So Cannabis Day, they're having a Cannabis Day event at the store. Flash sales, just to give you a bit of an idea. 10 milligram pops are $1. 30 milligram pops are $1.50.
Holy.
60 milligram pops are $2.
That's amazing. Those are amazing.
Yeah. And never mind other sales. Like I picked up some hash while I was there, and the price on it was all dropped as well. So
that cone that you were smoking, and I received one of those in that price. I can't get another one. They don't have them.
No, eh?
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I really like that.
Oh, that's too bad.
Hash.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday. Maybe someday you just.
We just don't order them anymore because they didn't sell them, right? So you know what happens when a product doesn't sell on a shelf?
Oh, you're talking about those joints.
Yeah, like those cone joints. Remember that?
Yeah.
Right. So I guess it was
the hash joints.
Yeah.
The hash joints.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But yeah, apparently it wasn't a big seller. So
I don't know why. They were pretty good. Fucking things run for 25 minutes. So
maybe people just aren't aware because I don't know that maybe not a lot of people smoke hash.
That's the problem,
right?
I can see that.
They're just not educated on all the other products that are available, right?
Laws that restrict people from finding out things, right?
Right.
Advertising rules, all that type of stuff.
Well, never mind the fact that before everything was so taboo, they think that it's a concentrate. They think, oh my God, I'm gonna hallucinate. Like, even the 70s show doesn't really do anybody any favors, and all sitting in the basement, and all of a sudden all these heads are moving around in circles, and I'm like, when did that happen? When did I never got that. How come I didn't get that? What are they smoking? I want that. I want to see heads moving
No,
around like that. Come on.
yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you
Sit
mean.
there.
Yeah, and then the patients, as I'm sure our guests can relate to, is that the stigma that you have to deal with because of stuff that's happened along that line. So,
Yeah,
well, talking about our guest, what do you say we bring her into the program?
absolutely.
All right. At this time, I'd like to welcome our friend and our guest who has been educating people about the benefits of cannabis since she herself discovered the powers of them. But I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to allow her to tell her. So at this time, we'd like to welcome Nikki Lawley to the Pace Radio Show. Hello, Nikki.
Hello, friends, my moose mates to the north.
Yes,
Sorry.
we are north of you. You are in the United States, so
I'm
we are.
west. Like I'm in the Rocky Mountains west. I'm in the
Yeah,
Whoa.
Yeah, so I live in the Rocky Mountains out here. Yeah, not by
Like
the coast.
Alberta, like
Almost like the Alberta border is kind of like here, and then I'm just kind of like just a little bit east of the border. So I'm about 2.5 hours. I'm 3.5 hours directly west of Lethbridge, Alberta,
okay, cool.
and I'm on Alberta time. I'm gonna get the cool time change.
Wow.
yeah.
And Al, are you in Ontario or where are you?
Correct. Well, yes, yeah. I'm in Ontario. That's how we got to run into each other at the Grow Up Conference in Expo.
I know. I'm
Shout
so
out to
jealous.
Randy Grow.
I don't ever get to go to any of those cool stuff anymore. I used to before I
Well,
had 12 dogs.
yeah, that's what happens when you live in the mountains.
And 12 dogs.
And 12 dogs, yeah.
12 dogs. Holy shit. Oot. That's a
It's
lot
all
of
right,
Crazy,
mate.
crazy cat lady. There's also crazy Chihuahua ladies.
Chihuahuas. I have Yorkies.
I have
so-
two. I have two of those too. I have purebred and I got a Sharky, and then I have two pit bulls too.
Wow. You are an animal lover, my friend. I love it.
Anyways, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. So
Yes, yeah, that's fine.
Thank
Maybe
you very
Nikki's a
much.
dog lover. Nikki's a dog lover. She has dogs, and dog lovers talk about dogs, right?
yeah, I get that too. Like I said, it's hard because I got one non at the door over
Yeah.
here whining already.
Oh,
So
I
as
already-
as I said, Nikki, we got to meet at the Grow Up Conference and Expo. It was good seeing you there. But seeing somebody at the expo is just not long enough because it only gives you a few minutes, right? And then you gotta move on. Everybody's busy, everybody's doing things. So it's nice that we've been able to arrange for you to make an appearance here on the Pace Radio Show, so we can just have a conversation between the three of us. And as I mentioned, while we were waiting for Tamara to come back, is that we like to share patient stories because we believe that patient stories help educate people.
100%, Al, 100%. So, what's unique is as we've legalized cannabis, one of the crazy things is there wouldn't be legalization if it wasn't for patient stories and the legacy growers that provided them the flower to utilize. And I came from a healthcare background. I was a pediatric nurse and doing my job just like any other day. And my life changed in a second. A 10-year-old kid didn't want a vaccine, a shot, and I had to help restrain him. And I was behind him, and then he tucked his chin, threw his head back into my head. I bounced off a wall and back into his head.
So that's like bang, bang, bang. Yeah.
Pretty much kind of a triple whammo right there. And
Yeah.
I didn't have a helmet on, so just full transparency. I didn't have a helmet on, so it was a really, really fast, hard, caused a little dent in the wall kind of blow.
Yeah.
And people don't know what they don't know. And one of the things, like we were talking about shopping as you guys came on and the different products. Well, as a nurse, I didn't know anything about cannabis other than it was bad. It was really bad.
Mm.
And my dad was the drug liaison between the US and Canada. He worked for US Customs. And so, like, any of the substances were never really cool in my house, right? Like, alcohol was okay because it's legal.
Right.
And my mom smoked, like, 2 packs of cigarettes at the time, when I'm growing up.
Which
And
was
that was
legal.
okay.
Right.
Legal,
Yeah.
legal, nothing wrong with it. But then, you start getting conditioned by, that war on drugs that we had so prevalent in the US that was
Just
just
say no.
say no. And, I'm the DARE graduate with honors, and
Oh.
anybody that's
This is
bad,
your brain on drugs with the egg in the frying pan.
you keep that
Yeah.
memory right there.
Dragon years. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Dragon years.
That's going to come into my story in just a second.
Oh, okay.
So keep that thought right there. What happened that day was I suffered a traumatic brain injury. And my life, literally, you would not believe it looking at me today. I look just like a normal human, but I became a shell of this human. I was in pain 24/7. So let's just get that right out of the way.
So
Like,
headaches.
headache, neck ache, arm pain, like everything just hurt. And I'd had 2 concussions previously
Okay.
that, they say because this was the third, it was like it was worse, the symptoms, because I'd had 2 prior. I don't
Right.
know if that's the case. I just feel that's how I got hit, was just, you're bound to have a problem after that. And I was so angry that had happened. Like, I just couldn't believe it happened. Like, angry at the kid at the time. And I mean, luckily I didn't share any 4-letter adjectives because I have a very colorful language.
I heard that. I heard that. I got a message. I seen a post on Instagram about your show, your announcement about you appearing tonight, and the Hi Ladies commented that sometimes you have a mouth like a sailor.
I do. I mean, I have a professional sailor mouth. Like, I use the F word
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
much like a comma.
Me too. Yeah. And I kind of like the C word too, but I'm trying to keep that down to a dull word.
I know people don't like the C word, but I honestly,
Kind of like
it's a
throwing it
word
around
to
every
me.
now and then too. Yeah, I feel you.
So anyway, yeah, I will do my best to keep it non-super
Don't-
colorful.
Don't hold it back. You're fine.
All
It's
right.
okay.
we have an E rating.
All right. Okay.
Listen, give her a go.
All right. So anyway, my adrenaline was pumping. I
Mhm.
go grab something to eat, and immediately I got sick. I couldn't really see well, like everything was kind of double. And I'm still at work, right? Like, I'm still working.
Mhm.
And one of the physicians checked me out and said, "Wow, your left eye is kind of wacky." And then he's like, "You need to go to urgent care right now." And I'm like, "Okay." So I go to urgent care. They give me like 4 days bed rest or take
Mhm.
off work, whatever. And again, I expected to be just like I was with the previous 2 concussions, just a little banged up, a little sleepy, and back to my old self I would go. But that is not what happened. And the pain was so severe, as I shared. But then what really started really messing me up was the depression and the anxiety. These were things like, I'm not an anxious person under normal circumstances. It's just never been, like, I couldn't understand people that had crippling anxiety until this happened to me. I couldn't understand chronic pain, even working as a pediatric nurse. I couldn't understand or fathom that, how it really felt when you flip sides of the table. And I also was having serious cognitive deficits. I also worked as a casino dealer.
Mhm.
Dealing blackjack, things like that. So I was very proficient at counting and math and things like that. I could no longer count anything. Now I still really do only like 5s and 10s. Like, when you have a life-changing injury that no one else can see, you have to kind of like come up with life hacks. You have to come up with ways to live still, because if you don't, you're going to be a statistic, and I don't want to be that statistic. Although I became almost that statistic. So I was injured at work, and workers' compensation, you guys have something similar, where the government pays, but they really give you the crappiest doctors.
It's a private insurance company. It's not the government in Alberta. It's
Oh, we have.
I know here it's Work BC, but in Alberta, when my husband is injured, it's a private insurance company. It's totally fucked.
Ours is provincial.
Well, I had the private insurance company. Like, I mean, it's through the state, but it's run by, in my case, it was the Hartford Insurance Company.
Yeah.
And it was, you pretty much get given the like lower level doctors. They're not the ones that are really good at what they do. And keep in mind, the brain is this like crazy complicated thing that it's all about where you got hit. And where I got hit literally was like right here. And that's frontal lobe, and that's where all executive function happens. Quite coincidentally, that's my 5th TBI.
Wow.
Now,
I don't know if you can see it on the screen there. I have your website there.
Yes. That was my 5th one. That picture. That was when I was in Canada and I crashed I lost my balance and I hit a glass. I dented that too. Apparently my head is really hard. But yeah, it was, that was the 5th, the picture was the 5th injury, but this was the 3rd. And honestly, it's a miracle my glasses didn't break because of how hard he hit me. And, fast forward to 6 months into this horrific journey of no sleep, no cognitive function, feeling like a burden to my family, losing contact with friends. People with all good meaning said, "Oh, you're fine. Just suck it up. Everybody has headaches."
That's the invisibleness.
Yes. And then when your doctor says, "Well, your scans are just fine. We don't see anything." Well, guess what? You might not see anything. They call it an MTBI, mild traumatic brain injury. But Alan, Tamara, there's nothing mild about MTBI. Let me assure you, every aspect of my life was impacted. So Christmas time of that year, my husband tried to do anything he could for me. Like, he literally, no one could help me. Like, I had to sign a letter with my psychologist saying I wouldn't kill myself because she called my husband saying, do you know Nikki's like totally suicidal? He's like, no. And but like, I talked about it just so flippantly and so like, yeah, I'm done. I'm checking out. Like, and the only thing that kept me going, Tamara, back to our dogs, was my dogs, because I didn't know who could possibly take as good of care of them as I do. And even injured, like I forgot to feed them. I forgot to change their water. I mean, my husband literally had to become my full-time caregiver. So what do I like to do? I like to gamble. And so he got me a trip to Las Vegas. Well, friends, flying from Buffalo to Las Vegas 6 months after this horrific injury, when I haven't like been out anywhere. I can't stand the noise. I can't stand the chaos. I can't handle activities whatsoever. And so where do we go? We go to Las Vegas. And literally on the plane ride over, I was literally like, you got to be kidding me. I'm going to kill the 3-year-old behind me that's kicking my seat. Like, I'm just going to kill it. And this is like a 4-hour, 5-hour, 6-hour trip, whatever it was, but nonstop. And and push my seat forward. So my husband changed places with me because I'm going to kill it. I'm just going to flip and kill it. And I have zero patience whatsoever.
Especially when it's not yours.
Huh? So we get to the hotel and I'm fit to be tied, like, just the airport, waiting for the luggage. Everything was just too much for me. And normally, like, I just plug into a slot machine, pop in a few 20s, and just wait for the luggage. In this case, I was literally sitting with my hands like this over in the corner. And so my husband gets the luggage. We get to the hotel. It was an early morning flight, so you can't check in most
Oh,
places until like 2 to 4 o'clock, right?
yeah.
Well, it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. And she's like, "Oh, your room isn't ready, Mrs. Lawley." And I'm like, "Look, I don't care if I'm in a closet. I need a bed and I need a room. I don't care if it's not the fancy Bellagio fountain view. Just give me a room." So historically, I always get a room overlooking the Bellagio fountains because that's always been the place I do at the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. And there are these beautiful fountain show, blah, blah, blah. Well, this time I'm 3 stories above the pool and on the Las Vegas Strip. Literally with nonstop lights, traffic,
Oh, horn honking.
everything that you could
Oh,
possibly imagine. The stress level is just like to here. My husband goes out for a walk on the 3rd day, and I was done. I was really done. I don't care that I signed the contract with the psychologist. I don't care about my dogs at this moment. I'm like, I cannot live like this. If this is as good as my life gets in my most favorite place in the entire world, I gotta go. I mean, why am I here? So I go out to the pool, go out to the balcony, see the pool, see the kids, see all the umbrella covers. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even kill myself. Like I'm just gonna screw myself up more. And I'm like, how can this possibly be happening? At that very moment, a mobile billboard, like a billboard being pulled behind a truck that usually advertises escorts and booby bars, comes driving by and says, "Get your medical marijuana card in Nevada today." And it says, "Out of state, no problem."
oh, there's a signal for you.
So Tamara, back to your point, the very first thing I saw in my brain at that moment was your brain on drugs and the frying egg. And I laughed at that billboard, but then it came by a second time. And as it's coming by, as I'm like, got the table over to the balcony part. So I was climbed up. So I'm like on a table and I'm seeing this and I'm just like, oh my God, my husband walks in. He's like, "What the F are you doing?" And I said, just checking out the pool area. But I said, we can go get my medical marijuana card today in Nevada. And now, mind you, I live in New York. So he's like, absolutely, let's go get it.
Well,
And it,
so like, I'll stop you there for a second. Now you hadn't consumed; you were always against it. Dare graduate the
well, I
whole thing.
wasn't totally against it. When
So
you
like,
work at the casino, it's a very poly-substance friendly environment.
yeah,
So everybody did something. So I was exposed to it a little, like, pretty regularly when I
yeah,
was at the casino, but I never viewed it as medicine. I viewed it as this horrible devil's lettuce that was gonna fry my brain on drugs.
and
I
and
viewed
as
it
far as
as
as far as your husband was concerned, you weren't like you weren't a consumer, so he must have been quite surprised or shocked that you
Well,
came
for
up.
transparency purposes, my mother worked for the RCMP for 30 years up here and was the president of Crime Stoppers.
oh, cute, cute.
My
Yes, I
brother,
get
my
it.
brother, my brother has been at the Lethbridge Correctional Institute for the last 30 years, and he handles the drug dog.
Awesome. I met that drug dog at the border one day. That's
Might have
another
been him.
story.
Might have been. It might have been.
Yeah, the
So,
drug dog
so
I
found.
get it. I get the whole
Yeah.
the brain on drugs because I mean I'm Gen X too, right? So again, that was all with the Reagan years, and that's what we grew up around. It was like, oh, you can't do it. I always hear I'd lose my job. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my job. So
I'll lose my job, whatever.
yeah.
So my
so you're,
husband,
yeah.
being the Boy Scout that he is, said, well, you've laughed and smiled on pot before. Why don't we just go get it? And I'm like, seriously? He's like, well, all these 17 drugs you're taking surely aren't helping. And he said, you haven't been out, you've ruined our vacation. We're 4 days in and you haven't left the room yet, or 3.5 days, whatever. And I'm like, Jack, I don't have the energy to go do that. Like, no. So anyway, long story short, I get my medical card. That was a whole treat. And I go to my first dispensary, and I spent like a ridiculous amount of time crying, sobbing, saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is going to help. And this poor 20-something-year-old bud tender is literally looking at me like, shit. I mean, he was trying to help me, but he didn't know anything.
He's just
He's
bud
just selling
tender.
weed, right?
Yeah.
He's no doctor.
Legally.
Huh?
Legally, no less. Like,
Legal weed, yeah, in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Medical program.
Yeah, here in Canada, they can't talk medical in the store.
Yeah, well, in theory, he couldn't totally either.
Oh,
right?
okay. All right.
Like, there's restrictions, but I think he would have talked it if he knew it. He just didn't know. So it gives me a bunch of different edibles. Like, I'm talking like I bought 6 bags, and I want to say each bag had like 200 milligrams. I don't know for sure, but let's just hypothetically use that as the number. And I went back to the hotel. I was so overwhelmed just walking back in the hotel and all the people. And I mean, if you've never been to the Cosmopolitan Hotel, it's literally like the busiest bus terminal you've ever been in the lobby. Like, it just, and so I just couldn't wait to get back to my 7th floor and eat these gummies. And I also bought a 2-pack of joints or something. So, because I had always smoked it. I'd never eaten it. Well, the guy didn't tell me how much to take. So I ate all 6 bags of those gummies.
Oh.
Gummies, Chiba Chews, mints, whatever.
Oh.
So I slept for the first time in months for 18 hours, and my husband had to wake me up.
Oh, wow.
He thought I was like dead. He was like, you haven't slept like this ever. And so I felt kind of hungover. I'm going to tell you that first off.
Yeah.
But that pounding, excruciating pain at the base of my skull and behind my eyes, while it was still there, I didn't just focus on that. I focused on trying to wake up. I focused on, getting ready, like, because I knew I needed food, because like I'm sure my blood sugar was like 2 at that point. But literally, he's like, well, you got to smoke those joints. We're going home. You can't take those with you. And I mean, God forbid we throw out $20. But I'm like, dude, I can't smoke right now. I'm so like out of it, but I'm hungry. And so he's like, just go smoke it. So I go, I smoke it. And it was like going from being so tired, so like just ready to drop, to all of a sudden, I wanted to go eat. I wanted to go into the casino. I wanted, for the first time in months, to do something.
Nice.
And I think you have your commercial break right now, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And so I'm leaving everybody chomping at the bit for the next phase of the story.
Yeah, all right. When we come back, we will continue this story with Nikki Lawley. And as I said, patient stories are very important. They're always educational. Absolutely. All right. Other than that, you're watching the Pace Radio Show. We're live here at paceradio.net.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop.
Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
PACE Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Legacy 420 have an awesome array of cannabis-infused beverages, from pop to Nature's Nectar's teas, all in amazing flavors. What a selection! We even have a delicious mango-infused juice, and let me tell you, it's delicious.
Everything is infused in-house, so we buy our syrup from the same place where everybody else buys their syrup for their pop, and the infusion is done in the lab. It's all canned here, labeled here, produced 100% on Tyendinaga.
We have two lines of drinks. One is called our Nature's Nectar. That was our original line that we came out with, and then we also have a line under the Red E brand. We have them in 10 milligrams, 30 milligram, and 60 milligram cans.
What a great selection for a get-together with friends or after a long day. Remember, if you want to wet your whistle with on-site lab-tested products, come see your trusted partner. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching the Pace Radio Show. Just a quick message. Reminder, if you guys missed the live shows, you can always catch the podcast afterwards at paceradioshow.com at our website. Tonight, joining us on the program is Nikki Lawley, and she is telling us her story, as patients always have an interesting story, an educational one, and there's no doubt that Nikki is one of those that has a super interesting story. And just before we went to break, we were just getting into your Las Vegas trip and smoking some doobies.
Smoking the old doobies, yes. And I must say that is my preferred consumption method. I prefer pre-rolls as often as I can because I suck at the joint rolling aspect. So I buy pre-rolls. I'm pretty much a pre-roll snob, actually. So I know more about your brands in Canada than I do in the US. And I'll be about to tell you why in just a moment.
Okay.
So back to general admission. I like dab bods. Have you had dab bods? Dab bods. Yeah, the infused. Oh, shit. Their orange one. And their grape one.
Are they like these, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that's what this is. It's a general admission one, though.
Yeah, yours is general admission, but dab
other ones I just don't have.
Yeah.
Oh,
the brand name is Dab Box.
Yeah,
right?
you know what? I've seen those at the other store. The store I go to just doesn't have those. I know I've been told about this. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So I figured since I had this medical card in Las Vegas in Nevada that I knew we had medical cannabis in New York. So I assumed that I could get this special magical medical cannabis in New York when I came home. I shared with my workers' compensation doctors that I had been on vacation and utilized cannabis. I smoked it and I had consumed edibles. Immediately, the workers' comp doc says, "Oh, you were well enough to go on vacation? Well, clearly you're not disabled. Oh,
Oh.
and you used an illegal substance. So I'm sorry, we can't give you your pain meds anymore because now you're a drug seeker." And it's
Oh.
written in my chart. Like when you flip sides from being the healthcare provider, the nurse, to flipping sides to being the patient, just wow. It's a
Yeah.
whole thing. And I can tell you, if I ever were to go back into nursing, I would be so much better of a nurse after going through what
The
I did.
stigma, right? The stigma just stinks. Like, and so many people are not provided the proper health care that they need because
Yeah.
they say that they smoke cannabis, and that's a long term thing.
Really long term.
Yeah.
And so after being bullied by my doctors, I began to do some research and like actually no, not right after. I gave it up. I was like, I'm not, I don't have any access to it. So I guess like I found something that kind of helped a little bit, but I'm not allowed to have it. Okay. So I got back to depression and I got back to,
Oh.
all of the things
Uh,
that were plaguing me pre this. Only it was worse actually. Now, just a little side note, my son went to jail for growing 130 cannabis plants.
Okay.
And
woo-hoo, right on, good for him.
well, now he processes my medicine. So,
Woohoo,
but,
right on, good for
but
him.
I literally disowned him when that happened. And that was 3 years before this injury. And when I say I disowned him, I mean, like, I really didn't like him at all
Wow.
and wouldn't have anything to do with him, even though I had consumed the plant,
Mhm.
But it's the whole
recreationally.
stigma that goes along with the felony, the fact that
Yeah,
he went to jail,
yeah, the whole jail thing tripped
right? It
me
looks
Yeah.
bad on the family. It's shameful because we were
my dad,
right,
shameful for my dad,
and
my
they went to
address.
jail for a plant, right? You know,
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, he only spent 30 days in jail, but like it seemed
So,
like a
yeah.
lot. But yeah. So that little side note, um, I just kind of then was like, and I didn't understand that medical cannabis was the same stuff my kid was growing.
I know,
Like,
eh?
I believed in my mind that medical cannabis was just the special unicorn parts
magical.
and rainbows.
Yeah,
Um,
magical. It's got magical. They're growing it in a special room. It says magical marijuana on it. Yeah,
yeah, I really believe that though. Like,
I
I
know.
did not think.
I had to say that to people too. You know what cannabis is cannabis. Well, what about this recreational stuff? It's the
Yeah,
same. But I
same.
don't want
Same.
to touch
Yeah,
the recreational. I don't want to smoke the recreational. I want the medical. It's like it's the same.
little moose cat tail there. He likes being on podcasts with me. Feels
That's
special.
sure. We got cats too.
Me too.
Just one.
Oh, I just want to know we got a message, and someone's Celeste is letting us know that they are watching from Western Kenya to the
Wow.
broadcast.
They're definitely not in the backyard. Hello, Mr.
No,
Cameraman.
that's right. Exactly.
So, yeah, like literally New York became such a shit show for me and I lost hope again. And I posted one of those messages on Facebook where it's cryptic, but you can tell there's something up. And I posted that. And being a dealer at the casino, I made a lot of Canadian friends. And I'm like, I finally found this pot that like helped me, but I can't access it because I don't have one of the 5 conditions approved in New York State. And I'm totally screwed. And like, I'm too much of a burden to my family, to my friends. I'm just like done. I mean, it wasn't quite that, you know.
Oh, I feel you.
Wasn't quite that direct, but like that was the gist of it. I get a call from a friend that I dealt to at the casino, and she's like, "We've got pot here. Like, why don't you come here?" And what's kind of crazy is your first sponsor, the Lighthouse Row or whatever.
Limestone City Hydroponics.
Limestone, yeah, them. They are in Kingston. And that's where my friends lived, in Kingston. And so they themselves weren't consumers, but they went, and the wife went and got her card, her medical card, because at the time it wasn't adult use. This was in 2017.
Oh yeah.
And we literally randomly picked an LP, because that was in the days when you had to pick one LP. And we picked Can Trust. And no, it's a good story. It's good.
Isn't that the one that was like Canamart, where you could actually provide like access to other providers?
No, well, it was named. It got named Can't Trust.
Can't Trust, exactly, exactly.
I don't think I heard of that one.
Oh, it's an interesting one. They kind of hid rooms from your government.
That one.
Okay, they were making more pot than they were.
They were all under canopy growth, though, weren't they? Or the little workers all under canopy?
No.
That was a different one. Okay, there's several. All right.
There's many stories in Canada.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, I know more about your brands and your LPs than I do about America's. Like, for real. I'm as close to being a Canadian as you guys are American. Like, maybe not, but like I'm literally like, I'm one of the ones that crashed your website when we had the second worst day in America, 11/9 of when Trump got in my opinion. Sorry, just didn't mean
no. I don't know
what the website, because I was one of the ones that did, because I was like, I can't believe this just happened. I need to go to Canada and like change countries. Like,
you know what? I'm looking to get out of Canada, and I don't know where the fuck I'm gonna go, because I'm telling you, if any we got tiny Trump up here.
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going.
Well, he's working on getting elected.
He's running around calling everybody wackos, just like Trump does.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a whole other show too.
Yeah, that's a whole different conversation. There's no doubt about that.
Whole different level.
Yeah, so continue with your story.
So literally, my friends are in Kingston. Get the card, and then like, what a system that works. You just pick your pot, and it gets delivered by Canada Post like 3 days later. I'm like, wow, you can get your pot in the mail. This is so cool. And so then I started using it, and they had an original cheese strain that was literally like a 50-50 almost hybrid type indica sativa, but it was all about the terps in their original cheese. And when I smoked original cheese, I equate it to becoming the Rain Man. Remember how I shared that I couldn't do basic math? Yeah. I could play Scrabble. I could like do the adding and subtracting, like things I had not been able to do in like a year. And cool. I was like, holy shit. But then I tried the Royal Purple Kush. The Royal Purple Kush literally made me like this. Like I drool and shit coming out of my mouth. Like I was like catatonic on it.
Couch locked.
What is the difference? Like, I don't understand this. Like, and then I like went back to my edible experience, and like Legacy 420 is the first reserve store I went to.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like
Oh, God. I was there
like,
today.
we're doing it online. We're just ordering online,
Yeah.
and it was just insane how much cannabis helped me. Like,
Yeah.
I could function like I never got hurt until it wore off, and then 3 hours later, I'm like burning again. But you guys, I mean, I felt normal for the first time, and I can't even tell you what that felt like. But I couldn't bring my medicine home. I couldn't bring this amazing feeling back to the States because felony drug trafficking is not
Yeah.
something I wanted to be
Yeah.
known for.
Smuggling.
So,
You'd be a smuggler.
right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
before, for like up until COVID, so 17 until 2020, I every 2 weeks made it through because I knew I was going to Kingston. I knew I was going to get relief in Kingston. All I cared about was surviving those 2 weeks without medicine so I could get to Kingston. And then chronic pain became approved in New York State. So then I was able to get a New York medical card. But at the time when we got our program going for chronic pain, we did not have any flour. None.
Oh, you weren't allowed
It
it.
was all oils. Oh, and by the way, the vape pens were diluted with peg. Like,
Oh.
Yeah.
like, so we got all these people getting
Like
sick.
there down in Louisiana, same type of deal.
Yeah, it was really jacked up. So I knew that the medical cannabis in New York was really not working for me. So I continued this, escape to Canada all the time. And by this point, I'd had a guy that would get me cannabis because then once I figured out it wasn't this magical unicorn fluffy stuff, I was able to, home in on that. But I still didn't get why I felt so amazing on this one strain. And what's crazy is I went to my first, Sabrina Ramkelawan. She's a researcher in Canada that worked for Terra Ascend. And she was literally, she reached out on LinkedIn, posted something and said, I need a patient. I'm looking for a patient story to share at the Ontario Brain Injury Association that's used cannabis with success. So, I mean, I was like, I'm not connected to her. I'm not at all anything. Like, I know very little at this point. Like, definitely didn't know what a terpene was, didn't know, anything. And so I'm like, I can just tell you the stuff works. I don't know why. And some of it works better than others. And so she began to educate me and began to teach me about the plant because she too was a nurse. And like she explained it in ways I could really understand. So I'm like, oh my God, this really is helping me then. Like, this is not just trying to escape from your everyday, mundane, horrible shitty existence in New York. It's really effective. And so then I learned what terpenes were. Then I learned what cannabinoids were. Then I started to learn, like, holy shit. So my first speech, in Canada for the Brain Injury Association, it was literally a kind of a joke. It was like, they're like, well, what dosing regimen do you follow?
Oh.
Like, I have no idea. I just smoke a
I just
lot.
smoke. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot.
There just some days there isn't enough. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. But it's
Yeah.
all for me related to the terps. For me, I have narrowed down like my chocolate chip cookie recipe with the pot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
what gives me the most effect and bang for relief of my symptoms.
Which is good.
And
There's so many people that these days that still don't do that. Like they're just looking at the big THC number instead of
oh my
looking at
God, no.
the terpenes. Or there's so much benefit
First thing
there.
you have to look for, like even now with the packaging in Canada, like we didn't have that at first, right?
No,
there
you
was no
didn't.
terpenes, there was no cannabinoid, there was THC and CBD, and that was it. Now
was
at least
it.
there's terpenes on the packaging, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
and that's the thing. Like we still have the total milligrams, but there's definitely the terpenes levels on the back.
And I mean,
I
when I
got a
started,
message for you, Nikki.
what?
from a Mark
Hi.
Davies. He says hello,
Hi,
Nikki.
Mark.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, I love you, Mark. Mark's great. Mark connects the dots for so many people. He like
Good.
reaches out and he's introduced me to so many cool people, like people in Europe and everything. And
Mhm.
it's times like this that you never really know the impact you make on people until they let you know. Everyone might be, you might be inspiring someone and unlocking the key to their hell with your story, and you have no idea,
Right.
and the universe has shown me that more than once.
Oh
That
yeah. Oh
story
yeah.
has really impacted so many minds and changed hearts and changed lives, really, and
Mhm.
given them hope when they had none. Because I had none. I was there, friends. I was really, really, really there.
You were on
And
the table.
and when I was able to laugh and giggle, I'll never forget. My husband called me one day in Canada, and he's like, I'm like laughing and talking. He's like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "What do you mean, what's wrong with me?" He's like, "I haven't heard you like this since before you got hurt. Like, you sound totally normal." I'm like, "It must be this pot."
It's Gary Kingston in the pad. Right?
And I mean, it really was like a mystery to figure it out. So in Canada, you had a cool app. It was called Strain Print. And what was cool about Strain Print is all the back end COAs were loaded when you guys were medical only. And literally every LP had their product on there. So you
Mhm.
could literally figure out what worked for your pain, what worked for your anxiety, what worked for your depression, what helped your cognitive function, what helped connect those dots. And that's how I learned about the plant. That's how I figured out what worked and why. And this is so underrated as a tool, but without that back end COA data, in other words, just a strain name or a indica sativa
Yeah.
BS, that means absolutely nothing. Just a THC percentage. And I mean, like Blue Dream, okay? There were 32 Blue Dream samples in Strain Print's app from all different cultivars. And all those different cultivars had different terpene ratings, had different
Mhm.
cannabinoid content. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh, so
But
that
here's my
Blue
question
Dream
on that
means
too. Like,
something.
and we know this from being growers ourselves, that every plant will throw different buds with different terpene levels per each bud. So that
Oh
bag,
yeah.
say it's got so many terpenes, but what bud did they test? And is that terpene level actually in the bag?
Right. Well, here's the best part.
Oh,
Nikki is now working for a testing lab for
nice.
cannabis testing.
All
So now
right.
I know all about that. And like literally when in New York State, like just to digress for a second, in New York State, we have to have samplers that go randomly select out of the lot number
Mhm.
different parts of, if they got a pallet of, pre-rolls, I've got to grab from different parts of the pallet. Many producers don't let you do that. And they try and give you like that set amount of product that you have to test, but they've cherry picked it with
Yeah.
the highest THC, the highest buds, the buds at the top, not the littles, not the ones that aren't getting as much sun or light. So, you know, it's for everyone's good to just play by the rules. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
I would much rather know what my real terpene content is based on a variety of different samples from that plant or from that lot so that I can, have an educated guess as to what's working. I mean, to this day, I would still be using strain print if it was a thing. I actually ended up purchasing or renting a storage unit in Canada, in Niagara Falls, Ontario, so that when I would travel from Kingston to Buffalo, it's like 4.5 hours. So I would
Yeah.
be meditating on the way home. I know we're not supposed to talk about that, but it's true. I would
Yeah.
I would stop and I would, medicate.
There's other spots that you could cross the border at Kingston, but yet you take that 4.5 hour ride.
Well, because I live in Buffalo, so
Oh, okay.
by traveling this way further in Canada, I'm much closer to home than I would be crossing at Kingston.
The other side, yeah.
When
Just so
would
you know,
go-
Mark has responded. He
Aw.
says, "Thank you, Nikki. Much appreciated. The guy behind the scenes."
Oh, Mark. But literally, it was a thing because I didn't want to be without the pot coming home for 4.5 hours because
Yeah. Well, yeah,
these headaches
exactly.
were debilitating. They were crippling. They weren't like just, oh, I got a little pain in my temple. No,
No.
these were like full on next level migraines that never went away. And, I can honestly say Canadian cannabis is what ultimately saved my life and my friends in Canada that like supported me. And so we were talking about Can Trust, I go to an event, my first grow up in 2018. Cheryl Schumann was there. The Shark Tank douchebag was there. Kevin, whatever.
Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah, him. I've never seen anyone talk so much about themselves in a situation.
How did Mark Emery then?
Mark Emery, I didn't never meet, so that's a bonus. But anyway, I go to grow up, and who's there but Can Trust? I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you guys. I use your product and I love it. And they're like, but you're an American. I mean, they could tell because I don't have the A accent, right?
You're right, eh?
But they, I actually met the head grower from there, and his name's James Taylor. Like, how do you forget that name, right?
Yeah, really.
And oh my God, nicest guy on the planet. He literally heard my story. And I mean, he got tears in his eyes when he heard how much trouble it was for me to get to Canada, to then, get his product and to hear how much it helped. And then I said, but then you guys really effed up. I'm like, it's not available anymore. I don't even have like a backup plan. Then I started using their Blueberry Kush and their Sunburst. That was like the closest things I could ever find to it. But the point is, it was such an honor to meet this guy, and we've remained friends to this day. And I saw him in Vegas at MJ BizCon last year, and we just hung out for a while. And he's like, your story still gets me, just knowing the good that I helped you with. I can just imagine how many stories there are of people I don't meet. And
one thing that you pointed out in that in your last paragraph there was that your strain that was working so effective was no longer available, and that is has been a problem with patients here in Canada, and I'm sure in other places as well.
Well, then they came out with the Live brand for adult use, and then they had vintage cheese, which was not the same original cheese. I tried hard, and I tried, working with them, and then they became FINA, and I like met all the head honchos there and everything, and now they got sold again. They got sold by somebody else, but I don't think any of the original crew is left. Like,
I doubt it. Yeah.
There was a time when we had to turn over. They wanted us to turn over our gardens, right? So we couldn't grow anymore, and I lost one of my best strains at that point.
Oh.
Never found it back.
Yeah, that was when they brought in the MMPR.
Yes.
And they took away our rights to grow, and then they lost their battle in court and patients won their rights to grow.
But the funny thing is, even with with using the LP system with Namaste, I had to get a license for a short period just to get one kind of thing. And my license was at 20 grams, and they lowered it down to 15, and said that it was because of affordability. And I'm like, how is it your business what my affordability is? But they dumped me down from 20 grams to 15.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean,
all right, ladies. It's that time again. Time for us to take a break. Time to let people know who makes our voices louder so that we can educate people and to share patient stories, right?
Absolutely.
All right. You're watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at paceradio.net, and we will see you in 3 minutes.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420.
Are you looking to get your medical cannabis grow license? Limestone City Hydroponics can help patients through the process of obtaining their license to grow medical cannabis. What's that? You don't have a doctor. If you meet the medical criteria, Limestone City Hydroponics has a nurse practitioner who can assess and provide medical cannabis prescriptions. What are you waiting for? Contact Limestone City Hydroponics at limestonecityhydroponics.ca or call them at 613-548-0420.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Cannabis edibles are an effective way to manage pain and other ailments, especially when you deal with your trusted partner, Legacy 420, in Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. You see, we lab test every product on site to ensure proper dosage every time, which is critical when consuming cannabis edibles. All Legacy 420 edibles are made by our classically trained baker and chocolatier, and we also have super tasty vegan options.
Our baker has been in the industry for 25 years. She's also a chocolatier. Everything from savory to sweet, your chocolate bars, brownies, butter tarts, you name it, we make it.
Talk to our knowledgeable Cannatex about our incredible variety available. Give your trusted partners a call. Legacy 420 out on your road.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
And you're watching the Pace Radio Show. Tamara and I are joined by our guest, Nikki Lawley. Were you saying something there, Tamara?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, because Nikki's on the show and she's using cannabis for her anxiety, depression, right?
Hmm?
Right on this label, it specifically says daily or nearly daily use increases the risk of dependence and may bring on or worsen disorders related to anxiety and depression.
Well, everyone has a unique endocannabinoid.
I know, but like you said, like, this is like almost like misinformation. I know some people do. Some people get paranoid. There are people that do have.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes that paranoia is caused by the laws against it. At least now.
And, like, you know, there are people that are allergic to it. Like, there are like disabilities, and there are people that have adverse effects. But I just like sometimes I just want to like say, are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? Keep it away from the children. You can put lottery tickets in front of them that are all shiny,
right?
Yeah.
So,
and then take them home and let the kids scratch them.
Yeah. I mean, I can't open up your damn bags in Canada, okay? Can I just
right?
I
yeah.
This is how I open the bag.
Yeah.
Facts. So in New York, we have the same exact problem. And because I'm a medical patient, they can actually open the containers before I leave the store.
Oh, that's good.
For me. So,
But then when you're transporting it, would be open. Now, do you
it
have
would
to?
be.
So you would have to maybe. Are you supposed to put it in your trunk? Put the
I
skunk in
don't
the
know.
trunk?
I
We
don't
are.
bother.
We're supposed to carry it away
I'm
from
at the
the access
point,
of the driver, right? So we're
like,
supposed to put the trunk like alcohol.
nobody really screws with me anymore because I don't let it happen. Like,
Yeah.
if a cop literally were to pull me over and see my open stuff, I'm not smoking in the car, I'm not consuming, and I literally would explain it to him. And I dare say he would not give me a ticket or take it because it just wouldn't happen. I mean, if I was a different color, if I was,
Yeah, right.
younger or
Indigenous,
something like that,
brown,
I mean,
yeah, black, yeah.
definitely scary, sketchy situation. And I mean, could I get the one asshole cop? Absolutely. I mean, I've already had him at the border with the dog. So anyway, I have become this unintentional, very loud, very boisterous cannabis advocate
Yeah.
because it saved my life literally.
I
If
You
can't.
it
can't shut up.
I can't travel to the United States because I mailed 4 grams of cannabis to another patient right after I got my medical licensing, and I did 6 months house arrest, and I was charged with trafficking.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Not kidding you. So that's why I can't
absolutely
come to the United
insane.
States of America, because up here I got a felony and I had a 10-year firearm prohibition. And I never owned a gun. So this happened back in 2008, I believe, and I was I did months house arrest. No, 2000. No, it was 2010. Sorry, and yeah, 2010.
So Nikki, you found yourself because of the benefits that you obviously experienced. You found yourself in a position where you had to tell everybody.
I did.
And you
And
still
I
do.
started arguing. So what I learned too by becoming this patient, you had to become a professional patient. Like, you
Yeah.
no longer could just trust what they wrote in your chart. You had to get those records because Kingston General Hospital made such a drastic jackup of all my diagnoses and symptoms and everything. I was just like, is this really a medical record? Did somebody what were they doing? Like, talking to another person and put that person's shit in my
No, the
chart?
College of Physicians in Canada don't recognize cannabis as medicine still. So
Oh yeah, she didn't either. This one, no.
Yeah, like they don't.
So yeah,
So
so your records were all
jacked
messed
up.
up. Or?
So I had to become my own advocate, and I had to find doctors that at least didn't hate on you for using cannabis. And I had to pay for all this treatment out of pocket because I had to have an answer. I'm like, why do I still feel like shit? This is not normal. This is not cool. I cannot function like this without cannabis, not because I'm addicted to cannabis, but because it literally improves the quality of my life so much. But I don't understand why edibles don't affect me the way other people did. And then I got gene testing and I started to learn why. I lack a cytochrome gene that basically processes THC, CBD, many medications in your liver. So I lack that cytochrome P250,
Yeah,
XXX gene that makes that impossible. So to have an answer for that felt so good. But yet the doctors I was seeing, well, just take an edible or just use a tincture. And I said, but that doesn't work. Smoking is all that works. Well, that's dangerous and that's going to kill you. No, it's really not. And here's the studies and here's what's going on. And I really encourage you to educate yourself because I've had to become educated.
Yeah.
And very rarely did I get in a pissing match with them. And it was so important. I tell every single human this. The doctor spends 7 minutes with you. They spend 7 flipping minutes.
Yeah.
How much can they ultimately learn about what you're going through on a daily basis and what your family situation is, what your support system is, what everything else that's possibly contributing to where you are. No one talked to me about nutrition. No one talked to me about psychedelics. No one talked to me about plant medicine, period. Nobody wanted to put me on vitamins. It was all pharmaceutical, 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 and this cascade of pharmaceuticals where they had different symptoms from the drug itself, and then they would give you another drug.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's like, well, shit, why am I taking all these pills? And I couldn't remember if I took them. So then sometimes I'd take them twice. And so all of this played into my role of why I had to learn about brain injury. And being in pediatrics, it's not something you really focus on. So I had to learn what was messed up. I had to learn how to read these MRI reports and these CT reports. And I had to like ask questions, and I had to really begin to understand my own situation to be able to treat my own situation. And I can honestly say that was probably the best thing I did, because I found my voice. If you would have ever told me prior to this injury that I would become this outspoken advocate for medical cannabis, I would have said you're absolutely batshit crazy. There is no way that would be Nikki Lawley. And here I am.
Did you find like you wanted the answers about the cannabis to explain to yourself and how it was benefiting you, but did you also feel that you needed to know that so that when you were talking to somebody about cannabis, that you were able to explain to them so that you would have an answer, knowing that they're going to ask that question?
Yes, for sure. And I had to have like that defense, like you're almost on trial with a doctor, right? And so I had to have that defense presentation ready to go. And, are you aware of the endocannabinoid system? Have you ever heard of that? And they're like, of course. Or no. But when I heard that for the first time, that we have an endocannabinoid system in our body, I was like, what are you smoking, man? I'm a nurse. We did anatomy and physiology. We surely didn't have anything to do with that.
That's really unfortunate, because there are doctors, accredited doctors, that do cannabinoid therapy education.
Yeah. Well, in the States, that's like not here yet. So I'm just really, really fortunate that I found this plant when I did. And every day is a second chance for me. Every day, I'm so grateful to be alive. And after 7 years of not working, I'm now working in cannabis.
Yeah.
And I was permanently disabled. That wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't supposed to be part of my story. And I can honestly say that I'm really happy. I mean, is it super stressful with having a new job and like learning everything, and testing isn't exactly like simple basic math. It's like pretty next level rocket science for a lot of people, and for me included. I mean, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a laboratory technician. So I mean, I've had to learn a lot of new terms and a lot of new things, and learning a contact management system that like does everything for you, but you've got to put accurate data in. And if you don't put it in the right place, it's a whole new learning experience, but it's incredibly stressful. But I haven't thought about giving up yet. You know what I mean? I haven't like said, oh, you're just going to be disabled. You just have to like I'm trying. I'm not saying like this is going to be my lifetime career for the rest of my little bit of life I might have left, but
the plant gave you a whole new life.
It gave me a whole new life. I have met so many amazing people, Alan, Tamara. Like, we wouldn't be having this conversation if it wasn't for the plant. I would not be known as the lady in polka dots and red because cannabis connects my dots by thousands of people. They know who I am. They might not know my story. They might not know everything about me, but they've seen me. And I'm always, so here's a little secret. I struggle with facial blindness. So Al, like when you introduced yourself to me at Grow Up, like if you would have the next day come to me and you didn't have your name tag on, I most likely would not have remembered who you were. And
Oh,
that's
okay.
not anything of you. It's I can't see the face. I remember the clothes. I remember the hair. And when all these chicks, like, they change their hair, like all my black friends, like one day they got like the braids, then the next day they got it all foofy, then the next day they got it all straight. I'm like, shit, how am I supposed to remember who you are? You keep changing. And so it's sort of like social media. People that have, a fake name on each different social media platform, and you're
Yeah.
literally like, who the fuck are you? Like, and they know me like we're besties, and it's like, oh my
Oh,
God, I have
well,
no idea.
it was the red coat and the polka dots that caught me at the grow up.
Well, so that's my secret. So because I struggle so much with facial blindness, I always wear the same thing, and I help other people that struggle with remembering names, that
Mhm.
struggle with remembering faces. And everyone will always come up to me. And usually, if you know me, like you actually have talked to me, you will know to introduce yourself again. Hey, Nikki, it's Al from Pace Radio. Boom, slay. And then, like, you'll either see that light, of course I know who you are, or you'll see that light of, like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, I'll go to events and I get these like huge hugs from these big men, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea who you are. And like,
You're like, holy shit, look at that guy.
Knowing you go to Kingston every once in a while, maybe we will bump into each other on the street.
yeah, well, I actually don't do Kingston anymore.
Okay.
No, my friends moved, and like, I don't need the medical LP thing
Right.
anymore.
Yeah. You got it there in New York.
Yeah,
So,
that's great though. The more states that have the more states that have anything to do with cannabis is the better. Like, that really should be like, Biden should just pull the plug and just do it. Like, he keeps yammering on about,
Trust
doing it. Just
me,
fucking sign the papers,
it's
dude.
all political.
Like,
It's
just
just
sign
oh,
them.
it
Just
is.
sign
it's
them.
the
Totally.
game.
I
It's
know.
who gives
But
me
then,
more
like,
money.
seriously, when it comes to cannabis, how many times have you been sitting with it on the corner of your desk? Just sign the fucking paper, dude.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. How many times does the
My whole
state?
desk is covered in cannabis. Thank you.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
everything about Nikki Lawley is polka dots, black and white polka dots with red accent. There you go.
There you go.
And it's all about education, right? So
Yeah.
this is all the minor cannabinoids. Then it goes into the terpenes. It tells what they are good for. It tells what they smell like, and it also gives you the boiling points. Because when we are vaping, if we burn off our terpenes, we won't get those benefits. So this is a bioavailability chart. So it basically says if you eat the stuff, it's going to take longer to get out of your system than if you smoke the stuff. And then on the back, you have my QR code, Nikki and the Plant, that you can scan, and it connects you to all my social media links, which I might say the censorship is like absolutely ridiculous. I might lose my Facebook account just for sharing this video. Literally, I got post removed today. I'm not even kidding. I got a post removed today saying, butterflies don't always see their beauty because it's behind them, but everyone else does. And it got removed by Facebook. There was nothing about cannabis, not even like a pretext. It was a picture, you guys, a picture.
Wow.
I'm not
Well,
even
I
You
can
can't
tell you
say the
that.
word cannabis on TikTok. You make any video, like, I get away with saying people advocating for the plant medicine. And when I was doing, like, where's the where's the plant taxes going? I had to use the word plant on TikTok. I use cannabis, and boom, they just take it down for community violations too.
Yeah. Well,
Just saying the
I
word.
really like, I write an article for Green State here in the States. And for Sensi magazine, I'm going to start doing one for every month. And
Busy.
literally, I have to be so careful what I say is like a promo, or what I say in the hashtags or the verbiage. And I'm just tired of it. I mean, I went from like literally a reach of almost 1 million on LinkedIn to now I'm in like maybe 100, maybe 200,000. My Instagram interaction and engagements of 60 to 80,000. Now, 1,100 to 2,200. My Facebook continuous. I had one post that did 121,000 engagements on Facebook.
Wow, that's huge.
And it was just one meme sharing a little bit of my story saying cannabis can have positive effects on traumatic brain injury. It was a simple, no frills post. I shared it from MJ Doctors or something with a little blurb of my story above. 121,000 people with over 2,000 shares. And now I'm literally blacklisted. Like, I
Wow.
have so many things in the, we can't recommend your content to non-followers. And I mean, this is true censorship. I'm not selling anything. I am teaching people how to have a second chance at life, how to potentially improve your health and wellness. And instead, I'm being treated like I'm, I don't know, a street hooker or a drug dealer. And I'm neither. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. I get for psychedelics and cannabis educational news, we get news stories pulled down, and their excuse that they use is because we're trying to get likes.
Yes, spam. You're trying to spam people.
Isn't that the whole idea? You're supposed to get likes on your. You want people to like your page, don't you? Or
but
like
certain
the article.
politicians can post shit all day long about absolute lies, and that's okay. Like, I'm just saying, the double standard. Oh, and the other day, I get some chick's butt, like literally her butt, with like a tiny little G-string thing, and her butt requesting my friendship and follow me for more. I'm like, I need to see this. But yet, that's okay. That's okay,
Yeah.
Facebook. That's cool. But God
It's
forbid
legal.
talk about medical cannabis.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now would it be because of the laws, the federal
You're
laws?
shadow banned too in Canada. So I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
got nothing, like your whole country's legal.
We're legal like federally in Canada.
Yes.
So,
And you
Yeah.
still have
Yeah.
problems. And so in the States, we are not federally legal.
Correct.
In only certain states. But yet I find it rather unique that there's one particular account on Instagram that's local to Western New York. The guy's account name is The Weed Man. He has a huge weed picture of a pot plant and nugs, and it's a paid ad, and he's never lost his visibility. Explain that to me.
Well, it's called doxing. It's called doxing.
Pay to play.
It's called doxing. So this is what they do: is they find out who you are. They get their followers to go and report your account on several occasions. So if he's got a lot of following and they want to take you down because he's jealous, yeah, they just dox you, and they do that all the time. And it's bots and stuff too. They can pay. It's just ridiculous. It depends on how jealous you got somebody out there. That's
Why anyone would ever be jealous of me? I'm 54 years
too much
old.
attention, honey. And there's
Oh
always
my
somebody else.
God. Just
Not saying,
ridiculous.
but that's what they do. It's called doxing. So, yeah.
I have no time for chick shit and bullshit.
I know.
I don't care who likes who. I don't care.
I feel bad.
I just don't do
there
drama.
are people out there.
And it could just be somebody who's anti-cannabis.
Right. True.
Some
Fact.
random, right?
Yeah. Just that's
They've
all.
got a
That's
bunch of people
that's
that
the
don't like
thing.
cannabis. They still think it's the devil's lettuce, and they go, "Gotta take that lady down." They've done that to I had when I first opened Southern Alberta Cannabis Club on Facebook back in 2007. I lost my whole account, everything. The Southern Alberta Cannabis Club, my private account, everything. They just yanked it right down. Haven't had any real problems since, but there was somebody that didn't like it, and just so many people have to report it.
Wow.
They have to
That's
report it.
ridiculous. That's
Yeah.
just ridiculous.
It is, and they
All
won't
I
tell you.
know is the censorship has to be fought. And I don't know how to do it. I'm not a lawyer, but I just feel like every single day my rights are impeded for freedom of speech. And I don't think that's right. I mean, I can hear about all these stupid idiots promoting their herpes herbs and promoting whatever else they are, Dr. Zuby Dooby from Zimbabwe and his herbal remedy that's going to cure your herpes and your, vaginal dryness. Like, come on, man. Like, how is that okay?
Right?
I know, but cannabis, you can't even show a leaf sometimes in some places.
Hey, Quebec, the whole province, you can't have a pot leaf on a T-shirt in the whole province of Quebec.
Well, here you go.
There you go.
On my name tag.
Yeah.
It's fatal.
Yeah, the Quebec laws in Canada are pretty ridiculous when it comes to cannabis. But Manitoba just said that they could grow their own cannabis. They're changing legislation there, so that's a plus. But yeah, Quebec
we can grow in New York too. As patients, we can grow in New York, up to 12 plants per household, 6 flowering, 6 non-flowering. And we had that for the medical program for the last year. So same rules, but max of 12 plants. And let me just tell you, I don't think we have the cannabis police like policing your.
They're not coming to count your plants.
We never did. When the MMAR
you have an asshole neighbor, guaranteed.
35 pages, right? Of when all your security, so you had to lie and tell me you're going to have locked gates and 10 dogs and all these things to protect your cannabis grow, right? Remember, Al?
Cameras.
Yeah,
I remember that.
What if the inspectors come and check and we don't have all these locked gates and all this shit and cameras because we didn't, right? Nobody can.
I know. Yeah. I mean, like, my biggest gripe is patients, especially, and legacy growers never have seats at the table where decisions are being made. And that's from a political perspective. That's from a brand perspective. That's from a multi-state operator perspective. And we're the ones with the most knowledge. I mean, I literally can help you with design of your dispensary, with ADA compliance. It's Americans for Disabilities Act. I assume you have something similar in Canada. But like how to make your signage so people can actually read it that maybe are visually challenged or visually impaired. Like to have that menu font size at size 8. Like if you're over 50, you can't read that. Okay?
No.
I literally have so much knowledge from packaging to consumption to how to open it, how to, really do it the right way. And yet, why don't I have a job at the Office of Cannabis Management? Why don't I have a job, with a huge multi-state operator that can share the patient experience? And I think that's what's so important, and that's what's missing. And I just shout that shit from the rooftops when I do my presentations lately. I've been talking about, cannabis patients and why industry leaders need to take notice. Because if you're not listening to the patients, you're not going to get the results you need at the end of the day.
Well, a lot of I won't say a lot, but some of the Canadian LPs are owned by patients that were patients. Some of the growers are patients still. So there are a few providers still that do have that connection to legacy. Not a lot, but even like Remo and Sander with Remo's Brands. Remo was a patient, right? You had Mason Campbell with
7 Acres. Well, that was John Fowler. He was a patient.
Peace Nachos with Matt Myrna. So they, even Philip Lucas with Tilray was a patient.
Yeah.
So,
High Ladies podcast, they're working with Kanja Farms, and Kanja Farms is a patient. It's a patient and his best friend.
Well, a lot of the growers were designated growers prior to. That's how they were able to get their R&D licensing to begin with, to actually be able to get the licensing to grow to become licensed producers. It was really complicated when the program first rolled out, trying to get it in line. But Tilray and Tweed were kind of the first couple out of the gate, right? And Chuck was like right in with the Liberal Party. He was in 2014 when we wrote the policies with the young girls to get it to, whatever, right? So there's a lot of stuff that went on to get to where they are now. Let's put it that way.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're legal. I'm not. And you take for granted a state line. My condition doesn't understand if I'm in New York where it's legal use, or
Did you get?
Tennessee.
Did you
Like,
get healed when you crossed that border? When you crossed the borderline, did you also automatically get healed when you went into Alabama or something? Like,
no,
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 exactly.
no, there's
It doesn't
nothing.
make sense, and they should have
Oh, can I
federal
tell you can't take
programs
a
on that.
Percocet into Alabama? Or whatever, like your morphine or whatever other medication that you're taking.
Oh yeah, you can bring any of that shit.
You can fly with all that stuff too. In fact, you
Yeah.
can cross into the Canadian border with all your narcotics.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
can.
yeah.
But I can't. They found less than a gram of cannabis on me, and like I got
Oh.
my passport marked for 7 years. The puppy found it. I had just smoked a joint before crossing, and it was one of those really sunny days, and it was really nice out, and I had the windows open and everything, but they still smelled the skunk. And yeah, so they're like, when's the last time you consumed cannabis? I'm like, now a couple hours ago. They're like, oh, so you're telling us you're driving high? I'm like, no, I'm a medical patient. And they're like, well, you're driving high. We can call the office. What's your people called? The RCMP. OPP, that's it. You can call the OPP and they can draw your blood and we can find out how impaired you are. I'm like, well, if you're drawing my blood, I can assure you I'm like 75 times the legal limit. And that probably wasn't the best thing to say at that point. And
I'd say I don't know what you're talking about. I'm invoking my rights to remain silent.
Like patients really, when you look at the legal limits, like here in Canada, it's 5 nanograms. And a lot of the states, it's the same thing down there. A patient wakes up already illegal to drive, even though they haven't consumed.
We're fucked forever.
Correct. And this is like a big problem. So when they found the pot, so it came from a place on the reserve in Tinandaga, or however you say it. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that. And they had a place that sold toonie joints, right? So I had a toonie joint that had been in a bag and it fell in the fatal hole of death between the seat and the console.
Oh, yeah.
And it had been run over, no shit. At least it had come back and forth to Canada probably 20 times, right? And this one particular time, they dogged me and the dog. So let me just give you a heads up, guys. When the dog's wagging his tail, that's great. As soon as that son of a bitch sits, you're done.
Oh yeah.
So happy dog.
Yeah, my son smokes cannabis and he lives with my mom. My brother cannot bring the dog to the house. He can't because there's weed in the house, right? And the dog would go absolutely fucking snark out.
He's trained, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
the dog looked cute. It was a little Springer Spaniel, and she was just wag, 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 wag. And then she gets in my front seat and she just sits. It took them 45 minutes to find the weed that was unsmokable, unusable. And then they held me for like 3 hours.
And then they weighed it and you had like 0.02 of a gram probably.
Yeah, it wasn't even smokable, guys. I mean, it was like literally over. Like, do you think I'm going to lick it? Like,
get choppings out of the carpet where they pull pieces out of the carpet for it or what?
Right. Facts. It was ridiculous. So anyway, lesson learned. Won't be doing that.
No.
That's another reason I have the storage unit, because it's just it's like my insurance policy. But I tend to overbuy whenever I go to Canada because I'm a real tester of the pre-rolls. So I buy multiple different brands and test them.
What do you do? Just the flower pre-rolls, or do you get the
I get both.
Infused?
Yeah, I get both.
These are the infused ones, to be fair.
The general admission, they had a variety pack that was really sweet.
Yeah, they do. They're really good too. They got the 5 different flavors in one pack.
Yeah.
And they're about $34.99 plus the taxes, which isn't bad.
And your stuff is so much cheaper than American legal weed.
Yeah, but we also pay in British Columbia 20% vape tax on every vape. So you pay your PST, your GST, and then you pay another 20% on your vapes. And so this is, like I said, this is a general admission one too. So it's got the pods, right? I kind of like them because it kind of looks more like my vape that I with my nicotine. So when I'm at work, that nobody knows what I'm smoking.
Yes. little
mystery. I don't want. I just it's kind of like incognito.
Yeah, incognito. Good word. You guys, I just thank you for having me on your show. I'm assuming we're wrapping this up pretty soon. If anyone wants more information about me, feel free to just follow Nikki Lawley, Nikki. Lawley is Lawley for those not watching the video. And you can find me on all social media platforms, but you're probably going to have to spell it out. And NikkiandThePlant.org is my website. But if you Google me, you'll find me on multiple podcasts and multiple places. So thank you guys so much for having me. I love my moose mates in Canada. And
moose mates.
You really are. That's everybody's moose mate. My dog's a moose. Like, I have a thing for moose. Like, I'm addicted to moose. Like, 3 favorite things: cannabis, moose, and polka dots.
Well, I have moose near me. Yeah. My wife is running.
There's a white one born in Alberta by Coronation, where I used to live. People came across. There's a video of a white baby.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So where do you live, Al, that you see moose?
Moose, I am. So we got a message from Mark. He says that was great. Thank you.
Thanks.
I am east of Toronto, about a couple hours east of Toronto. So I'm
by your 7.
I'm off of Highway 7 east of Peterborough. Do you know where Peterborough is?
Peterborough. Yeah, there's.
Just east of Peterborough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you've got moose there?
Yeah, we have moose here. Yeah, I went right across Highway 7. I right at my friend's place. My wife had to stop on the highway because it was going across the road.
My dream is to be a moose mom. Do you see that guy that rescued a baby moose?
We have one of those here. We have one rescue. Yeah. It's called Northern Lights Rescue, and they just rescued a baby moose too. We have bears and everything here. Like I said, I live in the Rocky Mountains, so we have deer in my yard on a daily.
Yeah. My license plate is New York. It's a New York license plate. It's ILV Moose. I love moose.
Oh, really?
Around it.
Mark agrees with you. He loves the moose mates.
Yep. All my Canadians are my moose mates.
All right.
But thank you again for having me. And
thanks for coming on. Great to meet you and get to hear your story. I really
yes.
I hope someone gets helped by it, and it gives them hope at the end of the day. That's all I try to do.
Your website again, Nikki?
Is NikkiandThePlant spelled out .org.
Super. Tamara, you got anything you want to say before I sign us off here?
Monday we'll be having some guests on Cannabis and Coffee with Marijuana. I've got Greg from G.I. Joe Productions and Jack Ellerman that were the original production for Still Trippin' the Highway, which was a documentary that was done about Canadian cannabis patients from coast to coast to coast. So we'll have them on Monday with Cannabis and Coffee with Marijuana at New Mountain Standard Time.
Yeah, and don't forget Legacy 420 is having a Cannabis Day event to flash sales down there. Get your medicated pops for $1.
That's pretty impressive. I'm not even gonna lie. I heard those numbers. It's really impressive. Those in New York.
So I said, do they deliver? But I'm a little out of the way.
They do mail order. They do mail order. Just so you know, they do mail order.
If I don't do $1 for the mail order, that would be like they would make absolutely no money. Here, order me 20 cans. I need 20 cans of that stuff.
30, over $30 for you. Yeah. I don't know. Nikki, I don't know about you. You're in a whole different country, so.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty positive it won't work out for me. But.
All right. You can find us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook, and you can find us at paceradio.net. Thanks go to our sponsors: Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, Legacy420.com, and the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. Thank you, Nikki, so much for coming on to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And I hope I run into you again somewhere at an event. And other than that, thanks for everybody for tuning in the show. Good night, and we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Night.
Let's share PACE everywhere. That way it can help create peace. People everywhere advocating cannabis education. You're listening to the PACE Radio Network here at paceradio.net.